This is another episode of Who Would You Tell? Thank you for joining me. Today my guest is Lasiba Maklala. He is a playwright, he is a director, he is a man behind the camera more often than not. He has most recently been involved in the shooting of Ubutina Wetu. Yes, I said it like a very, very South African man, but I was rushing through it. Yes, he is a very close friend of mine, and he has kindly taken the time today to join us and to discuss today's topic, which is based on the conversation I had with myself many, many times. At what point do you become an adult? Siba, mate, seriously, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. Honestly, means the world to me.
Genuinely, and this is a great topic because.
No, thank you.
Okay, look. Obviously, the both of us we've spoken about this a lot over the years, even, and I think my answer as it stands right now is I'm still figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have feelings of when I feel like I'm being an adult.
Mm-hmm.
I could talk about that, but what is an adult?
Like, you don't feel like it's a fixed thing, like you've just been an adult, you're being an adult all the time.
No. I think yeah, being an adult really is a momentary
Like you do
evaluation.
you do adult things, but you don't necessarily feel like you are this fixed ideal of an adult.
Exactly. I feel like it can be taken away, you know? There are times where I don't feel like I'm being an adult.
Yeah.
I mean, I know.
And then in that moment you're just a guy with a degree.
Yeah.
At best.
At best. Actually, and thank you for the introduction. For those who don't know, I'm a filmmaker. So a lot of the time, I mean, I'm very privileged, very lucky. I can do what I love as a means for procurement. But it means that there are going to be stretches of time where I'm unemployed. This is one of those stretches. And I'm losing my grip on what it means to be an adult because I do freelance work here and there too, because I have responsibilities. I have things I need to take care of.
But you have things that adults do.
Of course, yeah.
You do adult things, but like, you know,
Yeah.
at this moment in time, you are no different to you're 18 yourself on holiday, pretty much.
Pretty much, which
Yeah.
feels weird because if I was 18 and you told me, yeah, this was gonna be like, 7 years time, you're gonna be chilling like you're chilling right now, and not making money like salary month to month consistently, I'd have been like, damn, that kind of sucks, man.
But in terms of the free time you have, you wouldn't be happy to know that? Wouldn't that feel like a blessing when you're 18 years old?
Do you know, it's kind of like that thing where you're young and you want to be an adult because you can go watch that movie that your parents said you're not allowed to watch, but then you become an adult and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm accountable for things now, and you don't realize that thing. I think that 18-year-old me would have been like, if you have all this free time, you should be using it to do more things.
Yeah.
I wouldn't see the value in it because I was dripping in free time when I was 18. And now I really do see the value in it. I feel really lucky that I can still do the work for what I need to do. And I have the free time, which I feel like I also need,
Yeah.
I don't feel trapped by a job, which is cool.
Okay. No, that's a healthy outlook on it. Do you think you've seen anyone else become an adult and like stay fixed in your perception of them as an adult? Surely Dewey, or your older brother.
Yeah.
You see him as an adult.
Yeah. So I have this thing about firstborns, and I feel like they are the tragic heroes of a nuclear family. They kind of make this, just in my experience, obviously, this big sacrifice to be this example for their younger siblings and this shining beacon of hope for their parents and their elders. And I think my brother is impressive and exceptional to me because he kind of walks between both worlds. He does a lot of the things, he's made a lot of the sacrifices that I've just mentioned now, what a firstborn would do, but he's had the bravery to step out of the stringent role of, I should be doing this, and allowed himself to branch out into more creative aspects in his own life. You know, it's not just all business and money. It's
like in a sense of self outside of just being an adult, essentially.
Exactly. I think that's even a good waypoint into being an adult as a connection to yourself, as a deeper connection to yourself. I think when you're younger, maybe most people just don't have the facilities to do that, you know? And being an adult, you just have more agency to explore your relationship with yourself, you know, and invest more in it. And that's what I've seen my brother do. I think he's pretty good at that.
Yeah, so for you being an adult, there's nothing to do with age, nothing to do with like a certain landmark or milestone.
No,
it really is just a journey into yourself.
I genuinely think that if child labor laws weren't the way that they were, which I mean, I'm glad that they are.
That's a good disclaimer. Ideally, you care about that kind of thing.
I mean,
I hope.
You know, don't we all?
Yeah, you know, kids, really.
No, genuinely. I think that if child labor laws weren't as they are, a lot of, I don't know, teenagers could be doing the jobs that make many adults feel like they are an adult, you know? I think a lot of adults associate their self-identity with
what they do.
What do you do for a living?
Yeah.
And I don't think that's enough. I don't think that's enough to make you an adult. Like, you work for money, it's got to be more to it.
Because a 16-year-old who's a waiter, that's an adult.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They pay for their life.
Exactly.
Yeah, in the same way that you do.
Yeah.
But like, don't you think it's possible then that someone can become an adult before they're 16? If you take on a certain level of responsibility, if you are the breadwinner in your family at 16, God forbid you don't have to take on that kind of weight. Yeah. But if that is your story, are you not an adult at 16?
I think you're doing adult things.
Yeah, but like, if I'm the person who makes sure my younger brother goes to school, I'm the person who packs their bag, I'm the person who helps them with their schoolwork because of an absent parent or like any other reason, is that person not an adult?
You know, look, I think it's a great question, especially given the criteria that we've discussed already, but I don't think so. I don't think that at that point in that person's life, biologically and just in terms of how entropy works, they don't have the facilities to express adulthood in the way that I think it's full. You know, I think they can perform adult tasks, which is very sad.
It takes away from them for them to have to be adults.
Exactly.
Right? To be viewed as adults, even though they're doing the work.
As I am right now, if I was doing the things that you're saying that this 16-year-old anonymous child is doing, that's fine. That's like totally fine if I'm doing that.
Yeah.
But a 16-year-old doing that, that's not fine. That's a very sad story.
Yeah.
And I think somewhere in that discrepancy lies what an adult is.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, at least for me.
Okay, so then we can acknowledge that there is at least some biological interpretation of what it means. So the question is, at what age? Is it 18? Is that too soon? Because I knew you at 18. I wouldn't call 18-year-old you an adult.
I don't know, I was pushing, you know? I mean, I had free time. I don't know.
I don't know. I love you, I have respect for you, but that was not an adult. Truly. Furthest thing from it. Like a child, in the purest sense.
At 18, and this is a true story. I tore my Achilles. I had to learn how to walk again.
Yeah. But then 18. I think I was later.
I was 17. But it was 2 months before my birthday. So I learned how to walk again when I was 18. That was in matric. That's a real story. Okay, maybe that's not a very adult thing, but that's a big thing.
It's not an adult thing.
Okay, but that's huge.
You're not meant to get like those kinds of injuries at a certain point in your age if you aren't an athlete. Like I know someone recently, like I saw them in a cast, like I asked, they said, why? Why do you have a moon boot? And they ignored me.
That's a weird thing.
They ignored me flat out. And I think I'm not gonna say the person's name. I think they know on some level it's like, this shouldn't have happened.
You told us. What are you doing?
Where were you?
You told us.
Where were you?
I agree with that, and I think that's kind of weird. There's some injuries that are just not permissible past a certain age, and I don't want to veer off the adult thing, but as an adult, there's, you know, maybe that's actually a part of it too, part of being an adult. There's some things you can't do anymore. And if you do them, it strips you from your adultness.
What's one of them for you?
Definitely the injuries thing. You know,
like a more practical one. Because the injuries one, we've now alienated a group of people who've injured themselves recently, who now think we're just making fun of them.
Yeah, sorry to all you injured people, but like, get over it. There's also, I feel like it's on the tip of my tongue. There's so many examples that it's kind of hard to even think of one. Being awake at 4 a.m. Not like you wake up at 4 a.m. You haven't slept.
Like you just stayed awake doing nothing.
You just stayed, yeah. You can't do that as an adult. You're not an.
I do that very frequently.
But you're not a real adult though.
By what metric? By your metric?
No, yeah, by my metric just now. You're not a real adult.
No, look. So my definition of being an adult, right? And it's a very loose one, if I'm honest. But for me, to be an adult is when you get to a certain point in your life where you start to take more ownership and you are more actively like in charge of like your day to day.
Yeah.
Like you are what makes sure you get from point A to point B to point C in your day. That there's no part of your day where you're accountable to anybody else.
So you said like independence.
Yeah.
Is a really
the moment you are truly, truly independent.
Yeah.
Like you didn't ask anyone for this. There was no check-in with that person. There was no check-in with that person, and you still do all the tasks that you're meant to do on a day to day.
So when you're like the captain of your fates and the master of your soul,
that makes you an adult.
And the Invictus poem is about adulthood.
I don't like what you've done. But in saying that, like, and knowing that was my definition, this is going to be a really weird train of thought to have to explain. I thought about the fact that like a homeless person is an adult, and that's someone who is by and large at mercy of like the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that person's not an adult. Like how they found themselves in that situation. You know, that doesn't strip them of their adulthood, of the fact that they are, still fully functioning like grown people.
Yeah. Unless they stay up until 4 a.m. doing nothing, then I.
Yeah. So
I'm kidding. Check.
I just have less than adult sleeping patterns. Yeah. I know it is childish. It shouldn't still be.
But how come? I mean, look, even though I believe this.
Yeah.
I feel like it's all very arbitrary though. Like, how come? Like
why should you do this?
Yeah, like
that's the point. That's what helped me come to the realization that this topic might be kind of useful to explore. That everything you'd use to define adulthood is kind of it's a bit flimsy.
Yeah,
it's a little bit flimsy because
definitely.
If you reach a certain level financially quite early on in your life, like let's say hypothetically you found something at like 19 years old that made sure that you never need to work again.
Yeah.
Right? You would determine your day to day and you'd be an adult. A 19-year-old simply isn't an adult in the same way the 25-year-old is.
Right.
You know, like regardless of how responsible you were at 19, I'd like to think every single person when they're 25 looks back and says that 19-year-old person was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
They were very foolish, very inexperienced.
Yeah.
No matter how experienced a 19-year-old you might be, you're still a 19-year-old.
At the end of the day, you can be wise beyond your years or whatever, but I even think that phrases like that are used to highlight the fact that you're an exception, but also the fact that there is a sort of lack in what you have.
Yeah.
As great as you are at this thing, you are still this.
Yeah.
And you need to acknowledge that when you get to 30 plus years old, when you're universally adult,
By 30 you're an adult.
Yeah. But like forcefully, you know? Like I know 30-year-olds
that are not adults.
They're not adults.
But by what metric? Is it behavior? Is it conversation?
It's definitely behavior is almost 100% of it.
So what, just like a certain lack of responsibility then?
Yeah. And like willful lack of responsibility. There's a neglect of responsibility. They're adults because, they just have access to all the adult things that adults have. But their performance, their attitude,
they don't act like adults in any way.
No, they don't plan like adults either. They don't plan to be adults, It's not even they're failing at being adults. They're not trying to be. They're not trying to be.
And I like that you use that phrasing. Yeah, because I don't think you become an adult. I don't think it's something that happens on a random day that now all of a sudden, you're an adult. No. You choose.
Yeah.
You choose every day to take responsibility for certain things. You choose to behave in a way that fits your ideal of what an adult is.
Yeah.
I don't think that there is like this clear, super linear like understanding of like what it means to be an adult. Like we all loosely say you're an adult, you should be like doing this. Like you should be this way.
Exactly.
And I think maybe it's because of what you would have thought being an adult is like when you're a child.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that'd be a better question. Like, what do you think it meant to you when you were like 10 years old to be an adult? What I assume then it's a much clearer and fixed thing.
Oh, being an adult just meant I had money.
Yeah.
When I was 10?
Yeah. So by 10-year-old's metric, you're not an adult. Yeah? Yeah, good one.
I you know what? I'm not even gonna, all right, you got me with that one.
Yeah.
Guys, don't make me be defensive here. Don't make me explain. I don't want to explain myself.
It's okay. You're accomplished in many other ways, but not by a 10-year-old's metric.
I guess so. I wouldn't be very impressive to a 10-year-old, I guess. Because, I mean...
Yeah, but it depends which 10-year-old.
Well, I mean...
If you told your 10-year-old self that you worked on a TV show,
okay,
like at the very beginning of your career,
that would be pretty cool to me.
Yeah.
But...
So you accomplished one of your childhood dreams in your first few years as an adult.
Which is pretty cool. I like that personally for myself, and thank you.
Like honestly, you should be proud of yourself. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Like as someone who's known you for quite some time,
thank you.
I think you should be like aware of the fact that what you've accomplished at this point in your career it's pretty big.
Yeah, I mean,
you know.
Thank you, and I think so too. I think it's very funny to think about what my 10-year-old self would think of me now. I mean, if you had to walk in on a Tuesday at 3 p.m. and see me playing PlayStation and eating chips, they'd be like, dude, I was gonna do that. I mean, it's pretty funny to think of it that way, but now that I'm older, I think my perspective of what an adult is shifting in ways that I've never guessed. And I think most recently, the most profound way is that I think being an adult is choosing to invest in the relationship you have with yourself.
Yeah.
I think that, we spoke earlier about how, one of my biggest beliefs in life is that I think that the meaning of life, the purpose of life is to be yourself. I think it's the hardest thing that anyone's ever had to do throughout all time. And being an adult is choosing to invest in the relationship you have with yourself, because in turn, you have to take accountability for how you affect other people, the people that you're responsible for. When you're an adult and you can't resolve conflict in, a meaningful, efficient way that's conducive for collective, resolution, I don't think that's adult behavior.
Yeah.
I think that's that's childish behavior. You know what I mean? And investing in yourself, to me, in a word, I guess, is just being more accountable.
Yeah.
Just be as accountable as possible. Wherever you can do better, improve.
So don't put it on anyone else.
Yeah.
The older you get, right?
Yeah.
At all times, it's you.
It's you.
It's like you weren't late because of traffic, you were late because you didn't plan properly.
Yeah.
Like, just those are things that you say adults do.
Yes.
Where you can just apologize and own your mistakes. And
the thing is, I feel like if you accept that, you do better. Like, a child will deflect that and not know how to do better. You invest that part of yourself, invest that much into yourself, and then you can say, okay, now I was late because I didn't plan my day correctly. And then when you get the opportunity to do something again where you can plan it out, you do.
Yeah.
And then now that's an adult decision.
So just making the same mistake less often.
Yes, learn from your mistakes and you are on track to becoming an adult.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Okay. No, it's a nicely rounded out way of putting it.
Yeah. I think that's the best way I can answer it.
Yeah. So as you become more and more of an adult, do you think you have more understanding of like your mother, for example, like her as a person?
Hell yeah. Mom, if you ever see this, I don't know how you did this. I don't know how you. I mean, all our moms, really. There's not enough time for us to get into.
Another episode, maybe.
Another episode, maybe. That would be a really good episode.
No, she's my mom's on the list.
Yeah, I think that would be.
There will be a time.
We were raised by a community of super moms, which was fantastic, and I've had so much. I have so many fun memories being with my mom, at so many different ages, and I mean, things are tough now. I'm 25, and the fact that she could still, at least try to include a sense of levity in our relationship, that's a really adult thing. My mom was one of the best adults examples I know. She's a great adult. So if I can be half the adult, I'd be very proud of myself.
Yeah. So now you've got this much more well-rounded sense of what it means to be an adult.
Yeah.
Right. You have grace. You have grace for your mother. You have grace for like parents in general. You can understand why people react in certain ways that might not be the most adult, and why you can reason everything. There's no perfect model that anyone has as to how to be. Right?
Absolutely not.
Everyone's trying to improve on their relationship with themselves.
Yeah.
With that in mind, do you still look at your life in general in these idealistic terms? Like, that life isn't that simple, that cut and dry. Do you still think at 30, my life must be like this?
Yeah. Embarrassingly enough as it is to admit, I don't hold the same grace for myself yet.
Why you call it embarrassing?
Because I know better. Or I feel like I know better.
Yeah.
I don't do better, but I feel like I know better. I think it's, as we were speaking about, like, even the grace that, we hold for our parents and stuff, I see now how much it takes for somebody to really accomplish something in this world, and I have a lot of respect for people who just endeavor to do anything beyond their means. But for myself, I still want a very idealistic version of life. I want to be living in a certain place, living a certain way, having, certain awards, stuff like that.
So I think it's wrong to have aspirations, right?
Right.
Like that's fine. You still want certain things for yourself. That's normal. I think everyone still wants certain things for themselves. People have ideal meals that they want in certain days.
Right.
Right? Like I don't think that's a bad thing. I guess the question is, do you think you'd see yourself as having failed, knowing now what life needs to be like, knowing now what life is actually like, right? Not the version you thought it was in your head as a kid. If you don't do certain things by a certain age, do you think you'd see yourself as having failed?
I think maybe one of the graces I do give myself is that I never feel like a failure.
Okay.
I never really feel like things are out of my control to that extent. If there's something I really want and I really want to do, I still have the belief that I can accomplish something. I feel like I'm reasonable enough with myself when I know I'm being delusional versus I can actually achieve this. And if I was being delusional, then I don't feel like a failure. And if I can achieve it, then I still feel like I can achieve it, even if I haven't
on
yet.
that timeline.
Yeah. So, yeah, by 30, if I don't have these things, I won't say them out loud because I'm so superstitious. I'm afraid I might jinx it. So, if I don't have those things, then I'd be, as I am now, disappointed. But probably when I'm 30, I'd be like, I would have lived all that time. So
you don't have the context as to how and why certain things weren't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, dude, like, cheer up. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever get wary of like maybe being too self-accepting?
Yeah, I do. Especially because I don't know if anyone else relates to this, but a lot of motivation that I've had in my life has come from this crippling nuggets of anxiety to get me up and going to do things, So if I kind of get wary of self-acceptance because if I do that too much, what anxiety do I have left to propel me forward, And yes, I get that, it's got to be from, a place of love.
Place.
Yeah, right.
I don't think that's real.
Yeah,
I think most people's, to say most is to assume I know enough to make the assumption. But I think a lot of people require some kind of negative reinforcement.
Yeah.
Like you need a fear of this to ensure that you do this thing.
Yeah.
Like I feel like being old and not be able to touch my toes. And I go to gym for that reason. That is a very sincere fear that I have. I hate the idea of like losing mobility. I fear aging generally.
Yeah.
I fear aging badly.
Genuinely.
Yeah. Like, because bear in mind, like the person who is, how do I put this nicely without offending her? What would you call Grant? She's, but like that's probably the old person I've been most in contact with, my grandmother. And she did like, aesthetically she aged fine, but she had a lot of health issues.
Yeah.
She had a lot of health issues.
Yeah.
And like she was sick from like when I was like 8. So the whole time I looked at it, I was just like, oh, getting old looks terrible.
Right.
Looks terrible. Like in the last 2 years of being alive, she constantly said, yo, my boy, I can't wait to die. This is so sore.
Yeah.
You know, like knowing someone like lives in pain and like a lot of, like most of it isn't her fault, right? Like there's not much she could have done to avoid most of what was happening to her. It required lots of medical intervention and like help with certain things. But like the idea of that genuinely left like a thing in my mind where like being old is kind of scary. Like there's a lot of vulnerability, it requires a lot of help. Like I imagine if she didn't have kids, if she didn't have grandkids, how she would have gotten by, like as long as she did.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's part of being an adult too, you know? The investments you make for, you know, who will take care of you for, in case your fears come to pass, you know? Like, progeny, I mean, you and I have spoken a lot about how the institution of marriage is a shaky one at best.
But worthwhile.
Worthwhile, definitely worthwhile. And for those who are brave enough to try it and those cool enough to succeed, kudos to you. I hope to do it.
So, did you say cool enough?
Cool enough to
You
succeed.
did say cool enough to succeed.
Yeah. It's pretty cool of you too.
Like you're like being sincere, like like that.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, like it's cool to have like a good marriage.
Yeah.
Like,
No, it is cool. It is cool.
That's cool.
I've just never heard someone call marriage cool.
No, I mean a good marriage as well.
Yes. No. Look, it wasn't a slight. Genuine. I wanted to make sure that.
I know. Maybe I'm being defensive.
Like yowling a little bit.
My bad.
But yeah, you were saying?
Yeah, no, I think maybe that's part of being an adult as well. You know, when I know a lot of people invest a lot in their kids because they care about them, but I mean, I don't have kids of my own that I know of, but
I hope that. Like, geez, man.
Oh, sorry, but
Father's Day is just now.
yeah. Hopefully, no one will be celebrating me, but I do want to have kids one day, and I think I can sympathize already with people who not only invest in their children for the sake of their children, but also for themselves. You know,
Yeah.
when you're old and you're not as mobile and your agency lacks, you know, almost regresses to the point of when you're a child again as you get older, you'd want somebody worthwhile to take care of you. Somebody who intrinsically loves you, you know? The same way your parents loved you and took care of you when you were a child. I guess maybe that's also part of being an adult, just preparing for the end, you know?
So like preparing for when you can't take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Like
Take care of yourself as much
I guess
as you can so you can't.
I guess you're right, because you know, an elderly person is an adult, even though they find themselves infantilized sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a crazy thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Like someone so much older than you, so much more experienced, like you kind of treat them as if they
yeah, like you talk slowly and you shuffle them onto things and they've lived
but like
a hell of a life.
yeah, but you think people in general know how to handle old people?
No, and I don't entirely know why.
Yeah, but-
I don't have this relationship with old people. I treat old people like they are super adults,
Yeah.
if I could put it that way. Like, I feel like I do respect elderly people. I'm not just saying this as a, you know.
That's a weird to PR yourself to old people. I don't know how many of the. I think the average
If
age
you guys
of
know
the
any,
podcast is like.
if you guys
is
know
like
any old
27.
people that need validation and affirmation, I'm here for them. Just know that. No, but genuinely, I mean that. I don't get it. I don't get why people. I mean, I get why people infantilize old people, but there's just so much more to get out of that kind of relationship when you treat them as how I think they should be treated, as people who have lived many years on this earth. It's crazy.
Just to treat them as adults.
Yeah. Treat them as adults, you know? Part of the criteria we spoke about earlier, self-identifying as an adult because of the work that you do. As a pensioner, what kind of an adult are you? You know? Just a really old child? That doesn't really make sense, right?
You need to look after the same way. You need to be washed. You need to be like handled with care.
Sure, but like, I don't know. It just seems it's sad to me. It's sad to me that people treat old people that way. You know, they're an incredible resource.
No, look, it's definitely not the ideal, and I think there is a lot to be gained from what you're saying, and like learning to treat them like with as much respect as possible without being, you know, like belittling of them as well. Yeah, like it's. I think that example is probably one of the better, like the best ways of looking at the fact that people don't really know how to engage with adulthood and adults in general. Like no one knows how to do that part of life. No one knows how to, like there's no experts. There's people who work in palliative care. There's nurses and things who, you know, can help you with elder care as well. But like people, you kind of have to treat it case by case.
Yeah, which is
and, like again, there's no archetype for the kind of thing. I feel like there's like ultimately there is no archetype for what it means to be an adult. There's this very opaque picture we all have in mind.
Yeah.
Where it's like this is what it should loosely look like. This is when I'll have it figured out. This is when I'll know exactly where I'm meant to be. Like this is where I'll find my sense of belonging. This is where I'll know my next few steps. And like life actually isn't like that.
What do you think about old people who live in regret?
I mean, there's people who live in regret who aren't old people. They're the same as anyone else. I think it's something most people will end up doing.
Yeah.
I think if you don't, like you being just any random person, if you don't come to terms with who you are, what you stand for, and figure out who you are before you die, you will live in regret. Because you will inevitably spend time doing things that don't fit who you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think living in regret is one of the easiest things to end up doing, as scary as that sounds, because, you know, I don't think people do anything all-knowingly. You don't know what the results are going to be.
Right.
I think more often than not, you live in regret for things that you don't do. Like
True.
If you're afraid to speak up, if you're afraid to reach out.
Yeah.
Like it's a time thing. Like when you're out of time, you have time for regret. If you don't take the time to call your friend can die, and you will live with the regret of like having not reached out in time.
Right.
If you don't take the time to apply to the job you so desperately wanted when you were young enough to have like actually gotten it, you'll always live in the regret of like the what if, the maybes.
I mean, I definitely see how that applies to old people who are run out of time. But what about the ones who still have time?
An old person with time.
Yeah.
I mean,
the people who are 60 who no longer talk to their children.
Yeah, but I mean, we see it with people who, when they're older, they reach out to their kids, like when they're sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an example of someone who's trying to massage. Maybe. I think you wanted to do that for the title card.
I did.
Yeah.
I did that on purpose, ladies and gentlemen.
This is why you're behind the camera. I think if you were a full-time actor, you just shout the title card, like the title of the show. Yeah. But yeah, I think all in all though, we've gone around in circles, but I think we've gotten to the point where we both agree that the idea of an adult is an ideal.
Yeah.
It's an ideal more than it is this one super concrete thing that, you know, everyone will agree on. But with all that being said though, are you proud of who you are as an adult?
Yeah. Yes, I am. I'm proud that I have the resources and facilities available to me to make decisions, to participate in some agency. And with what I've been given, I think I've done all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're proud of who you are as an adult?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, thank you for your time. Thank you for finding the time in your very busy schedule to be here for this.
Thank you.
No, truly.
No. Happy to be here.
But before we end, I have 3 more questions I'd like to ask you. Well, they're more anecdotes and like a piece of advice. So the first one is, what would you say to your 18-year-old self if you could go back? Like 3 things you'd say to that person.
3 things I'd say to that person.
Yeah.
The first one would be invest in what you love. You're lucky that you are young enough to know you're young and you know what you love. That's a really good thing. The second one would be take university more seriously.
I'm glad that you said that. I was going to highlight that.
Take university seriously because it's only a few years and you can still have fun. And by the end of it, it's worth its weight in gold. So yeah, take that more seriously. And the last thing is leave the relationships so much. Enjoy casually. You know? Enjoy casually.
Like, just be young.
Just be young.
I understand that there's no point in dating when no one has a house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
No,
absolutely.
no one involved knows who they are.
Just-
it doesn't make sense to make the person the love of your life.
No.
Yeah.
There's no love of your life at 18. Please, relax.
Yeah, no. Some people find them. Hey.
Okay, not you, buddy. Not you,
Yeah.
buddy.
No, that's good.
You just relax. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then lastly, two things that blew your mind the most when you were a child.
Two things that blew my mind the most. Jeez, these are good. I think the first one would probably be how good my brother was at soccer. When I was a kid, my brother was very, very, very good at football. And watching him play versus the people he played against and stuff, he was always the best player. You know, that genuinely blew my mind. I thought he would, you know, go win a Ballon d'Or and stuff. I'm sure he could have. You know, it was that knee injury.
If I would have gone pro.
You know, he would have gone pro, man. That goddamn.
Oh, like, he was really fucking good though.
That he was really, really good.
Yeah, having had the pleasure of watching you play a few times, like I can't deny him.
Sensational.
Limbo.
Crafty. The second one, as a child, I feel like I should know what age range to go. Like somewhere between 6 and 12.
Yeah, that's good for me. I was gonna say 0 to 6 actually, but
0 to 6 I could do.
no,
that
like
too.
true childlike imagination, like where you could be like wild by like grass.
Dragon Ball Z.
No, now we're anime. 6 to 12. 6 to 12. Go higher. I'm a fan, but that's not the answer I wanted you to give. It's.
I'd say it's probably something to do with movies.
That's the answer I'm probing you for.
Yes.
The fact that you were Dragon Ball Z really threw me off.
Sorry, when I was 6, that really blew my mind. No, but when I was 12, I remember I went on holiday with my dad to Durban, and he's not really much of an itinerary kind of guy. He was kind of like, yo, we're here, so
Then let's push. Let's figure this out.
Here's some cash. You go and
Figure out what you can do. Yeah.
And I went to the movies the whole day, and I'm pretty sure everyone's tried this at least once. You know, where you're in the movies and then you get out and you kind of look around and you're like, okay, just go into that one, right? And then you do, and I spent the whole day doing that, and it was on that trip that I realized that I really, really like learn a lot about people from movies, and maybe even to at some point deprecating degree. I wanted my life to be like the movies, and that kind of idealism really touched me at a young age.
There we go. See, that's why I knew to probe for the right answer. Imagine we ended this on the Dragon Ball Z answer.
Dragon Ball Z is still amazing.
Where are we gonna go with that?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of.
Yeah? In comparison to the in-depth answer you just
the
shared.
antithesis is, you know, being a child. I don't know, you know.
I know this much. I didn't have much to work with. Narratively, I couldn't have made that make sense. The idea that when you were around 12 years old, you went to a bunch of movies and you moved and idealism captured you. I can sell that story to them. They have an understanding of you, the filmmaker. Not the Dragon Ball Z level.
Yeah.
Because now what, then we like Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, no, we have to go on a whole different thing.
You see?
It makes sense, Yeah.
But that being said, everyone, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Siva, thank you for joining me. I hope to have you here again soon.
We'll do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
This has been another episode of Who Would You Tell? We got more coming this month. Stay tuned. Don't off my hand like that.